good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to the Business X-Ray Show. And I have to say, for starters, Happy New Year. It's 2022, and it's a year, of course, where we're looking at quite a number of... we're quite optimistic coming out of a long lockdown with, of course, the associated SOPs. Now, this year, we committed to sharing with you, again, tips on how you can grow yourselves, how you can grow or turn around your businesses, but then also, most importantly, how you can, move from one stage as a household, as a person, to the next one. This afternoon in the studio, I'm with our resident coach and counselor, business counselor that is, and that is Charles Ochichi. Charles, you're most welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and I'm so delighted to be here in the new year 2022.
Yeah.
And happy to be part of the X-Ray Business Show.
Yes, yes. And today we have a very, very interesting show. Our topic today is anchored on actually setting goals that are attainable. Of course, you'll look at that tagline, on running across your screen, but that's where it's actually looking at. We want to see, because it's one thing to set the goals, Charles, and another thing to actually set realistic goals.
True.
And I think that is what is informing that. But I don't want to preempt that. I don't know, for starters, what touched you, even before we go into today's discussion and the things, because we have quite a lot of things we want to look into. Today's show is a bit, different, because it's setting the pace for the different shows that we are going to have. Our modus operandi, we always have an entrepreneur in the studio, and then we dissect the issues from that. But today, we're actually laying a foundation on the issues we're going to be discussing in the course of the year. What touched you 2021 before we come into 2022, Charles?
2021 was obviously a year where the private sector had some of the toughest experiences, probably in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Businesses that we thought would never close, closed. And even when they were triggered to get back and start doing business, a couple of them, as we saw, even after parents have paid school fees, you walk to a place labeled the school, and they tell you, unfortunately, we've closed. And it is not going to open. Please go away.
Yeah.
So that year was a year where we went through the unexpected, where even the finest have struggled to come back on the market. But obviously, as we closed the year, other things came in. For example, government now was saying, can we come up with some resuscitation fund? Hence, the 200 billion that became the conversation for the entire half of 2021. And the announcement was finally made towards the end of the year, outlining on how you can access the 200 billion.
Yep.
And in this show, we want to bring out the highlights of that intervention, what it is meant to achieve, and then to advise you, the entrepreneur, on how to go for that 200 billion and come out the other side resuscitated.
A better person.
Because many times, there are many people who are going to walk into that money and finally make their burial a complete story.
That's a good one. But hold on to that thought, because I'm sure that's one area we need to actually go into and look at quite critically. Because we've seen these similar initiatives by government here, well-intended.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, because of lack of good preparation, they end up, especially on the side of the entrepreneurs, they end up actually messing it up. But I want us to look at first, unpacking our theme for today. That is how to set New Year's goals that get implemented.
Very important.
Of course, every beginning of the year is a time when we make resolutions.
Yes.
Resolution is a huge word.
Yes.
You resolve and say, I'm going to do this.
And once you make that word resolve, there is no turning back.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Indeed. And we all make them.
Yes.
Or at least majority of us make them.
We do.
And say, this year,
we do.
I need to have a bicycle.
Correct.
This year, I'm buying that motorbike.
True.
This year, I'm buying a car.
True.
Then it goes to brand.
Yes.
But then they also will say, this year I'm moving my business from point A to point B. I'm ticking this box and that. Now, it's one thing, because some of them are very ambitious resolutions. I mean, that's, let's be fair. But some maybe attainable. They're more realistic, and therefore it makes them a bit attainable. Now, just help us understand, how do we go about, what would be the best way to go about setting attainable resolutions?
Very interesting question. And I want to start from when people typically do it.
Yeah.
When a new year comes in, it's like a new milestone has been offered to ourselves.
Okay.
So we kind of have segmented our lives to say 12 months, by the time to 31st December, whatever has not gone well, I'm going to put it behind. I have a whole new year ahead of me, January to December.
Yes.
And it's a moment for you to really say, truly, what have I attained in 2021 or in the past year? What do I have ahead of me, and what can I determine to achieve? Hence, the New Year resolutions. And when we go into this behavior and into this position, we even bring the highest authority. We tell God, this is my year. God, this is my year. Those who are even deeper in Christianity and in religion will fast to make sure that the new year will be different.
Yeah.
God, give me a new beginning. Then they go to the different supportive quotations in the Quran, in the Bible, and close the year on a high note. Emotionally, in terms of your own personal convictions, and then you say, I'm walking into the new year with these resolutions. A resolution typically means, no matter the circumstances, I'm dead set to proceed. I'm not going to turn back. And I'm also sure there are going to be tests, challenges, disruptions. I am set to move, meaning you are ready for all types of challenges, for all types of disruptions, and also to grab opportunities that the new year will bring in. With that behind us, you now feel then, if that's how we approach the year, and if you really talk to a person as the new year turns on, that energy is evident. You can actually see it. Yeah. You just see this person is ready to change. The humility and the commitment are all combined to make the person go the way. The question then is, how many of these resolutions get a chance to be 50% implemented? I'm not even talking of 90%, 50%. Yeah. Extremely few. How many of these resolutions even become something you can remember on 31st of March, 3 months later? You even wonder whether it was you who was talking like that. Yes. Because they totally lose their relevance. You have started walking your journey, and you are walking like the way you were walking in the previous year. What is the secret that we are not able to move with the same momentum, with the same force that drove us to set these lofty goals? Charles, people have been given ways to remember a good resolution, a good goal. Remember the acronym SMART? Yes. Such a beautiful word. My goals are SMART. They tell you, please set SMART goals. Say this, I'm going to set SMART goals. S stands for what? Specific. Last year, I made 100 million in sales. My net profit was 32 million. This year, I'm going to make 150 million in sales, and my net profit must hit 50 million. And I will have opened 2 branches within the city of Kampala. The S is done. Very specific. The M, measurable. How much money? 150 million. How much profit? 50 million. How many new branches? 2. Measurable. That's brilliant. The A, achievable. If you look at the 150 million, how do you compare its achievability? How do you try to assess its realism or its achievability? You compare to what was happening in the previous year, where you managed to make 100, and if you improved a few things, why can't I achieve
Be pushed into this space.
the 150? The R is also in place, and the truth is, it looks to be correct. So out of the 5, is it SMART is what? SMART.
Yes.
5. So 3 already, they are looking good. Now the R, is it really realistic given the market of Uganda, the environment, who you are, and really given now the interest rates in the market in case we have to borrow?
And some of the odds you have to swim against.
Yes. The truth is, many Ugandans are achieving the same. I'm not going to be the first.
Yeah.
This is human. This is doable. This is possible in Kampala. It's realistic. 4 letters are correct.
Yeah.
This resolution should be already something to swim about. Then how about T? Time bound. By what time will that be done? So that we can check to see the resolution you went for. We will come and check and see the new figures. Where are the 2 branches? It is now December.
Yeah.
Where are the sales? It's now December. The 2 branches, where are they? So can you imagine that the acronym SMART is actually a real thing?
It is.
And it can actually make you feel that I can wake up in the morning and get to do it. The challenge then is, how come, according to statistics, not more than 15% of new year resolutions receive over 60% implementation. 15%.
That's quite
But
bigger.
the acronym, you have looked at it as you are setting the things, and all looked okay. The next question, am I cursed? Am I just unlucky? And that's why I wanted to pause and say, if you want to see a difference between the progress between 2 individuals, check the way they are able to implement their own targets. Goals are about self-drive.
Which is very interesting, Charles, because I've seen employers literally crying hoarse over non-performance of their employees.
Correct.
But if I have a challenge implementing my own resolutions, things I've committed to, how easy will it be for me to implement someone else's?
Exactly.
And I think that's what makes this topic very
where
important.
even now the buy-in in the brain is almost being forced. A key point. Now, to just drive that same analogy that you have brought in, Charles, home, did you know that people are excellent at school? This person is given now, this is primary 4. At the end of the year, you are going to have an exam. The fellow goes in, performs well. P5 hits the same, goes to university, comes out. You now release the person that you have been such a great achiever. Each time you are in an average population, you come out on top. Finally, here are the papers showing your track record. Going to the world, you are ready for the world. The fellow is lost. The fellow is lost.
And it happens a lot because we normally see some of the best performing students. I think we did a report one time at NTV here, where we're trying to look for some of the best performers at A level, at O level. Where are they? And I can tell you it's a tough job to find them sometimes. So that gives you a good glimpse about even why when we now go in and start running our own enterprises, the message is, as you open that door, it's up to you to know what to do that day. If you don't do anything,
you have not committed any crime. Nobody comes and tells you that, you know, today you should have fed the chicken on time. Today you should have called the vet to treat the chicken. Today you should have gone to knock at the door of this hotel to see whether you can supply chicken in 2 months' time. Because your chicken will be ready by that time.
Yeah.
You wake up and you are seated and you have broken no law. The power of goals becoming a force that makes you wake up in the morning is embedded in other things you must do to make this smart pronouncement to have a life of its own.
Actually count. Good one. I think you've just preempted my next question, which was going to be, why does setting goals or coming up with these resolutions actually matter? But you've touched a little on that. It could be the reason why you wake up every morning to actually go and work. But you're going to add on that. Before you come in again, viewers, you can be part of this discussion. We really want to share as much as possible on how you can actually, you know, design and lay a foundation, at least for 2022 to be a good year. We're actually talking about new beginnings because 2021 and 2020 were years like no other.
Correct.
It's like, for some people, it's actually going to be like a new beginning of sorts. Very true. So that's why it's important. So we'll pick your questions. We're going to flash that WhatsApp number on the screen. So if you have any questions, anything where you seek clarification, Charles is here. He's going to be actually giving us the guidance on that. Charles, why is it important? Besides, of course, the fact that it drives you because you're already set, you know, an agenda for yourself. Right. So it pushes you to get out of bed and that kind of thing. But what more can we draw from
the
setting
benefit
resolutions,
of setting
having clear goals? Why is it that important?
Excellent. The first thing about it is that you can now assess whether you are successful or you are not successful. Okay. When you see footballers playing a game, there are two areas where there are goalposts. There's a goalpost the other side, there's a goalpost here. Now, a footballer knows you don't go into that pitch to kick a ball to any side, anywhere, anyhow. You must at all times try to make sure that it goes to the opponent's goalpost. Only then will your running of 90 minutes matter. We can clap, we can shout, we can do all the things with trumpets until we see the net shaking.
So there are two things, activity and productivity.
Correct. Show me where the net is. All my effort will go there. Whether it's heading the ball, whether it's going to make the side kick, whether it means to do whatever it takes, the ball must all the time progress towards the net. You can dribble. You can play the ball with your head. At the end of the day, that's how we measure your progress.
I hear you. That's beautiful. Now, again, how do these goals and resolutions drive business success?
Very good question. Very, very good question. And for the viewers out there, I want you to know that the late Sembuya started his enterprise in Nkokonjeru, a small shop. By the time that man was starting that business, there were many other Ugandans who were in the same location. This man progresses until he goes to start Sembule Investments, which then created a huge empire. It's another thing for us to dissect this in detail. But I'm just trying to bring out this story to tell you that the moment you have goals that you are setting all the time, you now begin to progress your own achievements. In other words, last year you managed to become the best hardware shop in Nkokonjeru. Did you know that without having a bigger goal beyond what you have attained, you are happy now because everybody is recognizing you? The whole of Nkokonjeru will be saying, no, there's a certain Sembuya. That is the only place you should go to. Wherever you pass, they just say, our son, thank you so much. You have done so well. You are such a great son of ours. And in an environment where there are so many who are poor and are beggars, and therefore good at singing about your success, if you have no goals you have set, you feel already very heroic. The entire world is below you. You get to arrive a bit earlier. Correct. So if you checked all the successful business people, one thing that distinguishes them from every other person is their performance of the new year is better than their performance of the previous year. And no amount of the new year delivering a bigger job will make them stop setting a higher goal the next year. In other words, the moment you begin to make goal setting part of your bones, part of your DNA, this praise you get around you, this recognition that tends to dwarf us, will never do it. Because all the time you are looking at a higher playing platform. Yes. I started footballing career in the village, and then I went into the school top 11. Then I went to the district top 11. Then the regional top 11 of Buganda. Then now there's Mbarara. Then now there's Arua. Then from there you go into the national team. You are setting the platform all the time. That's true. And even if you have reached the top 11 for Uganda, why can't you go to Liverpool? So, goals make businesses to grow and become living entities beyond the owners, and that's an important observation. I hear you. That's a good one, because you know, when you talked about how people, you know, cheer you on or cheer you when you attain certain things. Yes. You know, you will even hear some of them telling you that, you know, why is he even still working? Exactly. He has everything. So, and they tell that to your children, and the children begin to say, hoo, daddy has done everything for me. Yes. For us, our role will now be able to divide what daddy has done. And many families have failed to have a cross-generational enterprise. And because the conversation is saying, yes, we have already achieved. We've achieved that. Which actually brings me to a very, very important question, Charles. And we've talked it here before. Yeah. And I know a number of business people are grappling with it. How do you make others, starting with your family, share in these goals that we set? Because I would imagine that resolutions and goals would be like, you know, if you to compare it to a country, your 5-year, your plan. It's like your household plan or business plan. Very good. Which is supposed to attain a vision. Very good. So how do you recruit these guys so that they don't look at, you know, the moment you move on, they're like, well, it's party time. Excellent. What you've just touched on is part of the other 5 things that I will be sharing as we move on from here about how to make goals to begin to have a life of their own. Okay. One of them is share your goals with people who matter in your life. Who are those? Your children. They may be in primary. Start telling them that, you know, John, do you know that last year our sales from this business here, we got 150 million. But John, this year we are going to try and make sure that we get to 180 million. Yeah. The young man is being told that please don't be happy with the past. Do not be happy with what everybody is shouting about. You are sharing with people who matter in your life, because those are the people who shape your own thinking. Those are the people you feel accountable to. When goals have totally no any other person you're accountable to other than yourself, there's a way you can get away with it. Yes. But if you've told family, yes, you've told your bankers, you have told other people who matter in your life, your peers with whom you keep on saying, let's keep going, let's keep going, and tell them, please, Charles, for me this year, I'm finishing my hotel. And my desire is to make sure that by end of the year, if there's no COVID, I want to see an occupancy at 80%. I am accountable to you because I don't utter these things casually when I'm dealing with Mr. Bwogi. Yeah. So the children, the family, must begin to become part of your accountability of where you want to go. And that becomes your way of talk, your DNA as a family. you all begin to say that for us as a family, we fight for space. We set a goal, we achieve it. And then, do you know what happens? At the end of the year, when the children are saying, Daddy, you said we can get 180. How did we perform? The moment we say we passed beyond and we need to have a celebration. As you go for that party, it is not just going for a party to say, you know what, we are going to have a good meal. Yeah. We are going to have a good meal, but with a conversation. Yeah. How did we manage to meet our goal? And if we have done this goal so beautiful like this, what is the reward to us for having achieved that? Because we have achieved this, I think we can change our mattresses. I think we can change the beds. Now the children are beginning to know that for the beds to be changed, there has to be something done somewhere. Yes. Yes. And now it's the reward you get for having done a good job the other side.
I hear you.
So goals begin to have a life of their own when the people who are interested in the attainment are beyond the person who is talking about it.
I get you. That's beautiful, Charles. And there's something related to that, because you mentioned, you touched a little, about it earlier. And that is setting goals and attaining them. Because it's one thing to set the goals.
Yes.
And another to attain them. I know there's some family heads who are not even believable or believed, even within the households. They will tell you, Daddy, when he says this, you have to first wait and see. We
have always seen him to say there's no things.
Exactly. You talk big, and it doesn't end there. It can even come to your workplace, or you could be a business owner, and your employees look at you as a guy who talks big, but delivers nothing. So how do we skin that elephant? Because that's the elephant in the room for most people.
It's such a key question. Such a key question. And please, listeners, I want you to get it this way. If goals are to begin to have a life of their own, one of the things is, this goal has a time horizon of 12 months. Yeah. Can you break it immediately into what are you going to do tomorrow? Yeah. A day. By the end of the week, what will you have finished? By the end of the month, what will you have achieved? Yes. And after 3 months, we have a quarter of a year. Where shall we be? That's 25%. Then you relate it to the horizon of 12 months. At that point, this hula baloo of being a pompous talker can be corrected faster. So the first thing is reduce this 12-month journey to a biteable size of 1 day, then a week, then a month, then a quarter, then half a year. As you do that, you have now reduced the goal to specific small sub-goals. If you've done that, the next question is, monitor each of these sub-goals. The day is over. Daddy, where are we now? You are saying that today we should have approached the architect to try and see how to design the lobby of the hotel. Did we call him? What did he say today? You begin to become accountable because you've lost a day out of 365. Come the second day, where are you now? Dad, it is now a week. Out of 52 weeks, 1 is gone. We should be now here. How come we have not done it? What is it we can change to still attain our 12-month goal?
Thank you, Charles.
Monitoring, monitoring these bite-sized sub-goals. If you are not going to do that, first of all, you have cut them into bite-sized goals. These are easy to 12 hours is so easy to know. That yesterday you said we are going to be here, and before you know it, even the kids are doubting you. Now. No, Daddy, but yesterday we didn't do anything. I don't think even today we shall do anything.
And sometimes we might resort to violence. Viewers, thank you, Charles. On that note, we're going to take a very short commercial break. I can see the messages coming in, and what I'm picking from that is like the same line someone was, talking about, that if you want to eat an elephant, you eat it a piece at a time.
Correct. Otherwise, the throat is just the same size.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
We'll pick it from there. We're still looking at New Year's resolutions. This is a time when we start, when we make we resolve to tick certain boxes. And it's very important that we do it the right way, because if we don't, we may not attain much. We'll picking the discussion from there after this very short commercial break. Welcome back, viewers. It is still the Business X-Ray, and I'm Charles Board, your host. Of course, in the studio we have our resident coach, business counselor, Charles Ochichi, the Executive Director of Enterprise Uganda. And today we're tackling a very important topic for this season, for this time of the year especially, because this is the time when we set our resolutions. We normally, give them that fancy clothing, New Year resolutions. And we're trying to look at, we're unpacking that topic, trying to find out how best can we set them, and how best can we set them in an achievable manner, because all of us actually set goals. We resolve to do certain things. Yeah. But like Charles, he gave us the numbers. It's just, a paltry portion of that gets to see the light of day. True. So Charles, we're talking about, making, that work. And I'm reminded, because even at the household, level, we, I was talking about the fact that we set some of these goals, the things we want to achieve at a certain point, and the time comes, our children are good, because they'll keep reminding you, and they say, Daddy, you said this. Yeah. That is, you said you're going to do this and that. Yeah. And it becomes quite a challenge. Of course, you told us about the importance of dividing them into small portions that can be, attainable. Yes. But what more can we add to that as well, Charles, as we move on?
So first of all, getting people who matter in your life to be part of these resolutions, you create a platform for conversing about them.
And accountability.
And whatever you keep talking about, the brain will be taking you to task.
Yes.
So that's important. Goals that are written and they are hidden somewhere and you don't talk about them, forget them. Forget about them. Now, kids are so interesting because of out of their innocence and their trusting nature. They say, if Daddy has said this, means doable. Everybody will be waking up in the morning and saying, Daddy, we had agreed that by end of this week we would be here. Please listen to those voices. And do not subdue them because they are young. Equally, that partner of yours, let the partner be part of the headache of getting you reminded. The conversation, the talk has a way it rewires the brain to begin to think on how to act. So that is the really key thing. Let it be something where your confidence, the people who matter in your life, including your employees, will be brought on board.
I hear you. I hear you.
Now, once you have done that, as I said earlier on, the other thing is you've broken them down into biteable sizes. The other thing is you are also monitoring them. The next thing also you need to be doing is these goals are not just going to be associated with just a horizon. Yes. There are some areas of your life, of your business, of your operations that must begin to take and make changes to move towards that goal. What am I talking about here? You have set a goal of getting from 100 million to 150 million. Yes. That has got a direct impact in your leadership. Meaning now, you need to have a leadership with your top management where you have quarterly meetings. Are you having them? And in the quarterly meetings, are you discussing these things? So that behavior must begin to happen. The other area where changes must also start happening is HR. The person in marketing must know that because we have changed the target for this year, he must come up with a work program. He must remove the thing of excuses. The marketing team must change. The fellows in customer care, that one must change. You don't just announce goals and just say, oh, now these goals can only work out if I get a bank loan. And the people in the marketing department are still snoring in their old way of doing things. Look at operations. You used to produce every 8 weeks 2,000 birds. We are changing the target now to grow by 50%, and you are still at 2,000 baht. It's impossible. So at operations, things must also change. And then you go to the financing. And then you go to your suppliers. And then you go to the ways you collect your debts. Because all those are elements that aggregate to end up with this one figure that you talked about, the 50 million profit. And so many other related areas you must address.
I hear you.
If you are just going to announce one figure, and you are not ready to address all these other pillars associated with attainment of that pillar, you're in trouble. Leadership must change. HR must line up. Operations must line up. The marketing and customer care, and then the financing. And obviously you can add technology. Now, if you are not willing to do this, my brother, my sister, you can announce, you can talk about those goals. There will be a tough call for them to be achieved. You end up concentrating on going to the bank to borrow the money. The money will be released, and all these areas here, you didn't send them a message that says, this is where we're going this year. Can you all rally to go in that direction?
I hear you. That's a beautiful one. And one of the most important things that I picked there is the, that clarity of where you want to be.
Very clear. And then, once it is clear, there are so many things now you must address, and they must all be aligned.
Aligned. Now, that's a very important.
Aligned.
That's a very important point.
Yes.
And I wanted us to look at it from the perspective of our workplace.
Very good.
And I know we've touched this a little some time back, Charles.
Yeah.
Many a time we find ourselves in these places of work and having or recruiting the different members of staff, the different departments. You mentioned marketing, you mentioned sales, you mentioned finance.
Yeah.
How do you get them on board? Remember, we picked the discussion from the household.
Yes.
Getting your partner, your children to share that dream.
Very good.
Because I imagine a business environment as a family as well.
Very correct.
How do you get the guy at the reception,
the
driver in the company,
very good,
the sweeper, to
very
actually
good.
Read the same script you're reading?
Very good. Very good. That takes me to two fundamental things. This goal that you have set is what you call the true north. The overall direction we shall all end up appreciating and saying, did we achieve it?
Yeah.
That true north must be distributed to every other party that contributes to that achievement. Who are the different parties? The fellows in operations will tell you, for us to achieve that, we need to increase our stocking of chicks of every batch from the current 2,000 to 3,000. And when that happens, operations people will be saying, we will now be able to make sure that our chick death rate must not go beyond this, because we're also talking of profits.
Yeah.
Operations will have targets, give them.
Yeah.
Once you have sorted out the people of operations, they will now deliver the output. The fellows in the market must come on board. You tell them now, your volume has gone up by 50%. What is it that we need to measure you against, so that once we provide this, you people will be able to market the increased volume? They might say transport. They might say, we need to increase our airtime. They might say, you know what, you need to increase our ability to give discounts. These are things you tell them, let's discuss them, agree on them. Once you have done that, monitor them. Once you have finished that one, then you go and check your finances. Where is the money going to come to increase the stock from 2,000 to 3,000? Oh, it is going to come from the bank. Finance, how long can it take to get a bank loan? When can we get the application in? When can the money be released? So that finance now has got its own targets. The other thing is that finance has been having some challenges about collecting bad debts. What is it you need us to do to make sure that our profit of 50 million comes out? Or we need now to recruit debt collectors. At what price? At what cost? And what are the targets for them? Now that brings in the other second thing I need us to appreciate, that as you bring all these new targets for everybody, there are what a great author called Jack Welch said, there are 3 questions that deliver wisdom for everybody in different units of the operation to begin to grow every year. And he said those 3 questions must become integral to the operations of every staff. He said, number 1, what is it we have been doing in marketing we must continue doing? That is key. And these people on a monthly basis, they should be asking that question and saying, I will continue to do that. Second question is, what is it we have been doing we need to stop doing? We make promises to people. They come to us with those promises. The timeline for the promise to be delivered is not done, and they just go away. Can we stop those ones? The third question is, what is it we have not been doing we need to start doing? Where did you learn this from? The competition. Where did you learn this from? Consultants. Where did you learn this from? Your banker who has got a conversation with your competitor. If you get these 3 questions to all these various contributors to your overall goal to be going on, by the end of 2022, if things don't change, the telephone number of Ochichi must be given out. And you call me and just say, Ochichi, I did all the things.
Indeed.
My things have not changed. Then we come and say, are you cursed? What's wrong with you?
And then you see how to rejig that.
Yes.
Indeed. Charles, a very important aspect, because we've not talked about the principles.
Correct.
Now we have certain realities and developments that have happened. Very interesting, actually, in 2020, 2021. And one of them, which actually caused quite a very heated debate, was the midterm access, NSSF. NSSF midterm access. And yes. I know a number of...
the way you whispered.
No, I had to give it the respect it deserves, because...
midterm access.
Yes. You know, there's a lot of excitement about accessing that money from NSSF. And, you know, a number of people that are eligible and those that are close there are actually looking at this as, you know, something that will solve a number of their problems. You know, a silver bullet and that kind of thing. Maybe yes, maybe it will not. But given what we've discussed, in fact, some have already set resolutions anchored in part on that windfall, for lack of a better word.
Very good. Very good.
I don't know what you read from that and how best we can go about that, and what you see around that entire development about the midterm access of NSSF.
I'm so happy you brought that angle to the topic of setting a goal or a resolution.
Yeah.
Because so many of us get excited of just reaching the money. When can the money be there? And bang, the money will actually be there, and they're going to put it in your account. Then suddenly, because you have no organized direction on how to use that money, within 6 months, all of it is gone. So, linking access to money and setting a clear resolution for that money is such a useful observation. So I would want to say this, that the moment you are one of those who is interested, because not everybody who is eligible to access the money will necessarily pick the money. It's up to you to pick it or not to pick it. But let's assume you are going to pick it. If you get that money, put that money in a bank account where it rests as your emotions cool off. You thought it was not going to come. Now it has come. Let it cool off. Go and sit with your family. Sit with people who matter in your life and tell them, I'm touching money I'm supposed to touch in the next 20 years. I'm doing it now. I'm committing a big crime. And I'm excited to pick it now. It's supposed to be money for me to access in 20 years. And no matter what happens, even if I didn't access it now, I would still be alive in 20 years and will still be there until I've grown.
Yeah.
I want to make sure myself I'm guilty if I do not make this money grow. So you pick the money. Tell yourself you have accessed something that is meant to assist you in 10 years from now. You picked it today. What is that overarching important activity you are going to do to counter the regret you are going to have when finally 20 years down the line you say, now they have paid me the balance. The other one which I picked, I really don't know even where it went. I wish I had not picked. You thought that the remaining 15 years was too far. In a twinkle of an eye, you will be there.
You're there.
But this money here, you don't know where it went. It's the worst regret you can ever have. We're trying to tell you, we're removing only 5% of your monthly money. You are having the other 95%.
Yeah.
Do you even know where it is? Now you are picking even this one that would force you to save. Can you be guilty at this point to touch it and ask yourself, when I touched it, did I make it better than what remained with NSSF? I just want to make that one very clear. That half of your money is going to remain with NSSF. And you are going to add more money to it. This money that you are picking earlier now, can you make sure that you make it grow faster than the way NSSF would have made it grow? Yeah. That's the minimum yardstick I want you to have in your mind as you pick that money. NSSF is making this money to grow on a yearly basis by 11%. Pick this 10 million that you have picked. At the end of a year, put 11% to it. Do you have it? The second year has come. The other 11 million, because it moved from 10 to 11 because of interest. The 11 should earn another 10%. Do you have it? Then by the time you are reaching your final 15 years, the equivalent of this money, by you just putting the 10% continuously, you need to calculate it yourself and just say, did I do a right job? Did I? Did I?
I hear you. Quite powerful. And I think one of the most important things that comes in or comes out of that is the fact that, you know, many of the people that are going to attain this money or achieve or get this money, you know, they need to have planned already.
Very important.
I don't think it would be a bright idea to actually first get the money and start planning.
Correct.
And it ties in with what we're talking about.
Correct.
You know, setting
that goal.
Yeah.
And we have given them an indicative benchmark. That NSSF on average is talking of 10%. It can go to 11%. Tell yourself, NSSF, I'm going to beat your standard.
Yeah.
Your 10% is too small.
It's too small.
I'm going to check by the end of 12 months, I should be having a 15% on my money. Do you know why that would be so beautiful? To be two things are good. One, you have actually beaten a record of an institution.
Yeah.
But two, you beat it by acquiring certain skill.
Yeah.
On how to make money grow in your own hands.
And build your confidence as well.
Correct. Because people who also tend to wait for this money until they are ready to pick it, without the skill we are talking about, they blow it up again in 10 months.
It also becomes issues.
It will go.
And I think that's why, again, viewers, we have this show, the Business X-Ray Show, because it's very important that you hone and refine some of these skills.
It is inevitable.
And it's part of the reason why Enterprise Uganda is supporting this particular show, because there are many people. Because now we're talking about the NSSF, you know, midterm access. But there are a number of people who access windfalls in one way or another.
Correct.
You know, and the moment that happens, mayhem starts. It's madness.
Charles, you have just hit something very important. The viewers know some of the employers give what they call a 13th check. They don't keep it, they actually give it to them.
Yes.
Use that 13th check to test your credentials.
Yeah.
Before you go and pick the NSSF money and say, you as an institution, you have been too lazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it better. Test your credentials. There's a 13th check. But even if you don't get the 13th check, did you know that on that 95% that remains with you, even if we remove the taxes, there is a portion there you can experiment with.
What has it been doing all the years?
What has it been doing? A driver has managed to build rentals from his salary, but he still reports at 8 o'clock.
That's right.
Sometimes you even get him engaged with you as an officer up to 8 p.m. His time is totally out of his control. But amidst all that tight thing and his tight salary, the driver has managed
Indeed.
to invest.
And sometimes he might actually be sleeping in his own house when you're renting.
There you are.
Well, very interesting one. But Charles, now that is in relation to the employees. Now I want us to move to the business owners specifically, because again, there's been interesting developments in the past year or the past 2 years of COVID. So government came up with a rescue plan for medium, small
enterprises,
micro, small and medium enterprises. That
Very
is
good.
a kitty of about 200 billion Uganda shillings.
Very true.
Again, they're those excited about that money.
Yeah.
And like we already know now, because we've had similar initiatives in the past, it can go both ways, like they say, if we didn't prepare well enough.
Yes.
What is it that you can tell to this MSME? You know, how they can position themselves to actually make the best. I don't want to just say take advantage, but make the best of this opportunity.
Of that rescue package.
Yes.
First of all, I want to say government has done a very good thing. There are many businesses that probably would not have been able to build a borrowing record until a package like this comes. When you use such a package and you manage to repay, you have just acquired an important asset for your enterprise, a credit repayment history. Now, this one is coming in with fairly excellent terms. Interest rate 10%. Loan duration up to 4 years. Grace period 1 year. But it has got a caveat which is so important. And please, dear Ugandan, as you go for this money, this caveat is for your own good. It says, before you touch this money, you as the borrower should be able to say, it is possible to revive my enterprise. And I'm bringing this because the businesses that are going to borrow are borrowing in a space where not everybody who will be playing in that space will be having loans. There are people who are going to be in your space and occupying that space without a loan. And it is a post-COVID resurgence period. These fellows will move with a velocity you can't afford. Now you are moving in the same space. You are going there with a loan. Think twice. Ask yourself, one, is this the business I can revive and revive using a cost of 10% extra? Even if somebody was to give me money now and it's at 0 interest, but I just take back the profit, how would it work? Be very candid. Check on your potential cash flows. Once you have checked on your potential cash flows, you need to check the possibility of the type of competition you are going to meet. Because you are not the only one going to that space. And there are people who have since said, oh, COVID has made me discover that, you know what, I used to be buying feeds from people, but now I think I can start making feeds. You who was already in the feeds, you are trying to come back to that space, but with a loan. People have been exposed to a possibility of making feeds, and they have capital to actually do that. Be very, very pragmatic. Never go into this borrowing just because the window has been given. But should you look at your cash flows, and I emphasize the word cash flows, what are my potential revenues? You've been existing because the beneficiaries under this fund are not new businesses. It is businesses that existed and they have been hit by the pandemic. So you know very well your potential cash flows. As you go in there, check on those cash flows, check on the assumptions, and if they work, proceed. If they don't, why don't you ride on your suppliers if they are still there, who used to supply you on credit? And tell your people that, no, you know what, I used to pay you after every 2 weeks. I'm going to struggle to see how I can pay you after every 7 days, so that you limit debt finance in that enterprise. Working capital, if possible, get it from a supplier's credit. But a supplier's credit rides on trust. Whatever debt you have promised to pay me, pay it on that date or earlier, and I will keep on supplying your requirements.
I get you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charles. Lastly, before we go into the questions of our viewers, there are quite many that have come through.
Yeah.
Of course, we've seen we're in the season of students going back to school. A number have gone back.
Yeah.
Others, I think, are in the process of going back to school.
Yeah.
Of course, that brings in the dynamics of school fees.
Yeah.
Then we have the aspect of teachers. Because
Yeah.
now, more than ever, you know,
Yeah.
we've seen the education sector really disrupted by a number of factors where
Yeah.
we're even getting a new worry whether teachers are going back to school and that kind of thing. But this entire season, I don't know what you pick from it that our viewers can benefit from, especially as we begin 2022.
In terms of school fees, this is the moment for parents and school owners or school administrators to create a bondage. A moment for character dividend to come out. We have had instances where in the past sometimes parents have also misbehaved.
Yeah.
You take a child to a particular school, then along the way you kind of move a child to another place, and you are leaving debts everywhere. This is the moment where you should be able to go to a teacher and say, I mean to your school administrator, and say, you know what, this is who I am. You know my track record before COVID. The challenges have hit me. I'm now having only this ability to pay. Openly go and disclose your cash flows. Then commit to something you can manage. Once you have made a promise, honor them. School administrators are going to have challenges getting smooth receiving of school fees. The point is, whatever promise you make, promise it from a solid, honest background. Now, somebody might be saying, but Ochichi, really, if I go to my administrator of the school and then I give him this honest thing, the truth is I will not be able to honor it. I really want to make a very difficult suggestion here, and the suggestion is consider relocating your child to a school you can manage. Have an honest discussion with the child, with the family, explore all avenues you can. If you really see that those avenues, the promise is really not good, the children have already gone through agony. Just do another agonizing decision by simply saying, my dear John, I can't take you back to this school. We can only afford this. And please, dear children, this is where we're getting school fees. These children have been at home. They have seen what has gone on during the 2 years. Make that decision and tone down to a school you can manage.
Thank you, Charles.
The point there is that it is not genetic. When things improve, the child will always go back to a better place.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you. On that note, viewers, we're going to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the questions and the comments that you've sent through and try, you know, to go over them. There are quite a number that have come in.
Yeah.
Again, we are picking from there on the topic of setting attainable goals. All this we've been discussing, we're trying to discuss it in the context
Exactly.
of realism or reality.
That is the point.
Yeah, and being true to ourselves.
Yeah.
We'll pick it from there. Dear viewers, welcome back. This is the Business X-Ray Show, and today we have a special edition of the show where we actually trying to look at how we can set New Year's resolutions or targets or goals that are attainable. Of course, we looked at the principles. Charles walked us through the principle, the SMART principle.
Yeah.
That our resolutions or goals have to be specific, they have to be measurable, they have to be attainable, they have to be time-bound,
yes,
among others. And those are really, really key, because many a time we resolve to do a number of things, and honestly speaking, even when you sit down, you know, you set resolutions and you get scared yourself. You're like, okay, you know, because they are out of this world.
Correct.
But I mean, following those principles would actually help. So that's the discussion, and this is a time when we now move into picking some of your comments. Charles, I have a gentleman here, Brian. He's saying, thanks for your service. Tumwezire, Brian, I have a simple inquiry from Mr. Charles. I would like to ask, how can a small shop proprietor track the progress of his business? Just a simple mechanism.
Very good. You cannot, first of all, every business is there to serve a customer. So whatever progress you are trying to measures you are going to put in to assess your progress, ultimately, customer must be in the center of it. Yes. So one, you need to check on your sales. Once you have seen the progress on your sales, the next question is, how many of these fellows are returning? Repeat business is a key thing to show that you are beginning to be received and loyalty is coming in. Two, of the people who are coming in and they are new, how many of those were referred to you by the earlier consumer who was happy? Because referrals are more powerful than any other advert that you can ever put anywhere to try and attract new customers. Three, as you continue making progress wherever you are, people who are supplying things that you sell will begin to come to you and say, can we supply you bread you sell, then you pay us at the end of the evening, we come and pick the money. If you start seeing just the three things and you start tracking them, they're such a powerful starting point.
I hear you.
But also you need to get on and start saying, now, if I'm making this progress, where are a majority of my customers typically coming from? If they are coming from the neighborhood, what else can you do to improve a reach beyond that neighborhood? Next thing you need to be tracking is, you are not the only one in that small business that you are in. There are also people who are doing the same. Can you take interest in what's happening in the neighbors or peers' territory? Never be too Christian, too religious to look beyond your shoulders to see how a competitor is doing. This is not about LOC5, who is supposed to be in one particular constituency and does not need to be compared with another LOC5 in the other constituency. This is about business where you can be in any other constituency and seek to see what's happening across.
I get you.
So appreciate what the competition is doing. It gives you a wake-up call.
Beautiful.
Very, very, very important.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now I have manager Fred. He's saying, how can I attain the goals I've set? I think we can go back a bit on that. He's saying his manager John Fred from Equator Chocolate.
Very good. So if you are going to attain your goals, you have set the goals already. The next thing is subdivide them into what we call daily, monthly, weekly, and then quarterly. Two, once you have done that, monitor their attainment. Three, share them with people who matter, including your workers. Four, make sure that you begin to course all the other aspects associated with your business that lead to attainment of the goals. Make changes towards the goal, the way you handle your employees. You recruit people because they must achieve certain goals. The marketing is because you want to achieve a certain goal. Operations the same. Make those changes. And then finally, do not set goals. And once you have attained them, you remain celebrating forever. Set new ones until it becomes part of your nature.
I get you. Now, I have a group of students here watching, and one of the questions is, what kind of perfect achievable goals can we attain this year as students at school? You have that for
now, for students, one of them is that you will always be having assignments. Make sure that you turn them on time. Number two, make a goal of making sure that by the end of this year or by the end of this academic year, if your average last year or the last time you were at school, your average was 56%, push yourself. I want this year to go up to 65%.
Yes.
Now, once you have said that 65%, one of the things you need to do now is on daily basis, I should be attending on my classes. I should be doing all my homework. I should begin to have group discussions with my colleagues. I should be able to approach the teacher, especially one of chemistry, where I get 30 to 40%. It affects my overall average. So again, you can see how the other elements that you must address to end up with the average goal of 65% mark.
Yeah.
But in school, we want to see to what extent we can confirm that you are learning, and it is confirmed through the grade that you finally turn in. So you know what it was last year, apart from the class position, because sometimes, do you know that sometimes all of you can go up at the same time, so that the one who was number one will still be number one, the one who was last will still be the last, because there has to be a last person. But did you know that the average score can improve everybody?
That's right.
The person who was last time was at 45%. You can now be at 58%, but you are still the last. But if we put you now against the country, you're a super fellow. So your goal setting will still be brilliant.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now I have Agaba Innocent. Agaba Innocent is saying, we have an investment club. We are 10 in number. We have existed for 5 years. In those 5 years, we have managed to acquire 5 plots.
Good.
How can you guide us so that we get something tangible out of them?
First of all, the club must have investment targets.
Yeah.
You are now having the 5 plots. You should be able to ask yourself, if we got the 5 plots after 5 years, in the 4th year, how did you perform? Yeah. Is there something you could do to make sure that your 5th year or 6th year is better than the previous year? So it doesn't matter whether you are investing in plots or you are converting the plots and selling them and buying more plots. I have no problem with that. All I have an issue with is your portfolio was of a certain value last financial year. That portfolio should improve by a certain percentage in this new year. That is key. Whether that portfolio was converted into cash in bonds of government or put in any other investment vehicle, I want to see that it has improved from what it was in 2021.
I hear you. I hear you. Powerful. Then I have someone is saying, thank you for the program. I'm Peter Kishokye from Liantonde. I want to know what to do in order to start. Starting is a big problem for him. And I think, you know, we talked about the fact that we set all these goals.
Of 12 months.
Of 12 months and that kind of thing. And then
3
months down the road.
Yeah.
We have switched off or logged off like others.
Correct, correct. So here's the key thing about starting.
Yeah.
Once you have set your goal, the first thing I need to tell anybody going into any investment is, you're most likely not the first in that type of a business. Can you go and check somebody who has been in that type of a business and find out the key success factors? If it is chicken, you need to get the right kind of chicks that grow when they eat. If it is chicken, you need to make sure that there's a vaccination regime that must happen by 2 weeks. If it's chicken, there's something to do with warming the chicks. There's something to do with the feeds. Now, once you have known the key success factors, break down to what you can do tomorrow. Because now you know what kind of a breed to buy, when to vaccinate them, how to feed them. All this you've known them. Check now your budget and see what you can start with what you have. Because here is the true thing about most business operators who have moved on. Start with what you have where you are. Very simple. What you have now, where you are, that you can start tomorrow. The moment you begin to say the location is an issue, I think I need to improve. I need to go and check again on what the internet is saying about location. you are going to get more and more information about the location, about the capital, about the HR. But once you have known the 5 key success factors, the next thing is start. The learning is waiting for you. No amount of internet, no amount of looking at any other person will remove challenges of getting started.
I hear you.
Cross the line.
Let me chip in something, Charles, and I've seen it, you know, as one of the comments from some of our viewers here. Because when we talk about setting resolutions and having clear-cut goals, there's a tendency sometimes to think that this only applies to big businesses. I want you to scale it to households, to small businesses as well.
First of all, I want to say this. All the big businesses that have continued to grow have had routine commitment to continuous improvement. As they make their annual pronouncements, whether it is the insurance companies, whether it's the banking, whatever, they always indicate to you the percentage growth. That tells you how they have integrated goal setting into their DNAs. They have gone big, they have gone there because of making that a normal part of their life. You are big, you are the biggest, keep growing. Now, the small ones must also recognize that you are not going to survive this mediocrity where I see so many people remaining micro and informal. But because they are paying school fees, they are feeding their family, they're able to pay their rent, a neighbor is struggling with the rent and for him is doing it, this fellow becomes comfortable. That's why we have so many mediocre African enterprises. And our colleagues who come from other continents come here, starting where we started. Within a year, these colleagues are getting ahead of us. They didn't speak our language. They didn't sell the items they came with from their continent. They just came and found our sim and bought from a supplier and then sold it to the next buyer. They never came with sim here. But then they are saying, last year I managed to sell 200 bags of sim. Why can't I reach 500 today, this year? Last year I managed to sell within a Muria district. Can't I start selling and buying from the entire Teso region and now selling to Kampala? Setting goals makes a micro enterprise move from micro to small, small to medium, medium to national, then national to regional, and regional global. We have stagnated, and many of our businesses that have stagnated, one of the things you'll discover with them is they have never talked about goals. They have just talked about having a business going on. How it goes, what it does, so long as...
I hear you. Let's talk about the households as well. Because I think resolution setting and goal setting can also come to the smallest unit of society called the household. And I think that's where the culture is picked.
Very, very true. Yeah, it starts right from home. You'll find that if even at a home, you are not that ambitious, you get contented with anything that you have. And that contentment will always be reinforced by your neighbors, your relatives. So if you have been able to shift it to a particular house that you manage to finish after building it for 3-4 years, and then you shift, then you begin to rest and say, at least for us now there's no rent. At least for us who have rested, there's no rent. Do you know that you are telling the children that, children, please don't struggle anymore, daddy has done it.
And then you rear some 5 chicken in your compound.
Correct.
At least for me, I have...
okay.
We even eat local chicken.
Correct. So it really is something we need to cultivate as Africans. You don't attain continuous growth without the culture of continuous setting of goals.
Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful, Charles. I have Amon here. Looks like there is a lot of questions here. There are a lot of questions coming in about investment clubs. And Amon is also along those lines. He's saying, I need enlightenment about investment clubs. What should investment clubs do to attain goals, especially when the investment option is not generating cash daily? And then how to audit the investment club. I know that's a topic probably we'll discuss with some of our partners.
It takes a full session of its own.
But just briefly, what
some key elements about an investment club. First of all, an investment club are people who should be like-minded, and they must have a certain shared goal. And their goal could be to say that, you know what, we want ourselves to be able to be saving this minimum per month. And once you save certain minimum per month, where do you want to be investing it? That should also be very clear. And once you have decided on where you'll be investing, you now need to have a formula for that investment. Because there is that philanthropy or volunteerism in an investment club that can make you lazy in how to monitor the money you are collecting. Because an investment club does not have a secretariat that now would be saying, you have paid us to make your money work out. So now if that is where you are as an investment club, you now need to be quickly deciding on the investment vehicles that are fairly less sophisticated. Because if you are going to be investing in land and then it is out of volunteerism, you are going to have a lot of challenges. It's not as easy as just going to pick a piece of land. So as an investment club, begin with agreeing on the target to save, and then choosing the kind of vehicle you want to use your money for. It could be putting in UAP or certain investment vehicle, or it could be just saying, you know what, we will be using real estate people to pick for us a piece of land, and whatever it is, we just live with that one. Now, once you have agreed that that's the way to go, you also need to agree on another thing, because sometimes you find that the members in the investment club are not having similar cash flow status. Somebody is almost saying, I've been saving for 2 years, now I have school fees. But you people are too comfortable because your kids are still young. You need to be able to reconcile all those cash flow differences. If this fellow is in need of picking some money now, either you give him money as a loan, or you tell him, you know what, every 12 months we shall declare some dividend, withdraw something, live within what we have given you, short of which exit.
I hear you.
So the principles of the club must be very, very clear.
I get you. Now, someone is saying, I set goals, but I get a lot of negative minds in my head, ideas. How can I avoid them to stay on track?
This is what you need to do. First of all, we've said the goal should be realistic. Realistic means there are ways, there is a way you can actually confirm that what you are going to do is going to happen. One of them is what you did last year was a certain stage. Can't you improve that by another 10%? That's realistic. Can't you improve that by 30%? Maybe it's realistic. Secondly, you can also check the realism by looking at the competition and the environment where you're operating. Once those are going on, go again and check the key success factors of your type of business. Once you have mastered them, move. Doubting is part of a journey of an entrepreneur, but you must overcome that with courage.
Beautiful.
Cross the line of the unfamiliar as many times as you can until the DNA begins to absorb it.
I get you. So you bear with me. We have quite a number of challenged business people here also, seeking direction, because that happens as well.
Very good.
He's saying Kia is I'm Eunice, and we have been building a circle for 5 years now. But my opinion, the circle has failed to take off. The membership hasn't changed a lot. The management hasn't changed a lot. What should we do, please?
I'm not worried about membership not changing. I'm not even worried about the leadership also not changing. I will be worried if this circle is not growing and making impact on the members. In other words, a successful circle collects resources and invest those resources, either by investing in another type of enterprise or investment vehicle and bring it for members to share the dividend, or by lending to members. And when it lends to the members must repay. And they are not just repaying, they are repaying by also having done something that has improved their lives. Having a circle for the sake of a circle does not create transformation.
I hear you.
it must lead to improvement of the members. It must. And then two, you can even begin to see that when you see members beginning to say, you know what, last time I borrowed 500,000, I paid on time. But after paying, I've also improved on my sales and my business. Now I can borrow $1 million. Then later you can even say, you know what, members, I'll continue to be part of the circle, but now I borrow beyond what the circle can give. That has built an individual to use a circle as a platform to graduate to the rest of the financial industry.
Beautiful.
If your members remain within the borrowing of 100,000 all the time, your circle is a question mark issue.
I get you. Now, I have Nathan from Shema District. He's saying, can I prosper without taking a loan? I have small capital, and I want to venture into goat rearing.
I have not always liked the word small capital. I've always liked the word I have capital of this volume, because for each type of a capital, there's always something it can do. So I want people to know that they are not one potential source of capital. Many. One of them is just, if you've been in the business of rearing goats, you might even get people who will tell you that, you know what, I don't have time to look after goats. But Mr. Chichi, you are good at rearing goats. I'm going to buy goats and then you look after them. From there, reward you also with more goats. All you have just done is to avail your labor as an excellent goat rearing person, and an individual is saying, here are my goats. When they move to 10, each 10 that you get new, I give you 1. You've taken off. So your own labor is your starting capital. Yeah. Then the profits that you made last year, don't eat it all. Put back minimum 50% into the enterprise. That is capital. Then the supplier's credit. Somebody who says, you know what, I know you're a good goat rearing person. You have got cash right now to buy 5. Let me give you 6. The 6th one, you'll pay me after 3 months. Supplier's credit has just come in. Yeah. So never reduce source of capital to credit or loans. You do that, you have just shown how your financial literacy is so basic and so raw.
Beautiful. Now, I have Juliet from Kasese saying, thanks for the program. How can you help civil servants to be self-employed or help them from depending on salary? I think, yeah.
Anybody who is having a job, it could be a civil servant, could be somebody in a bank, could be somebody in a church, but you are being paid a salary. Let me tell you this, that salary, the person who has given you that money does not expect you to eat it all by the end of 30 days. Meaning, you should be investing part of your money. You can invest it through investment vehicles, and there are many today. That will take you to government securities, that will take you to fixed bank accounts, that can take you to government bonds, and so many others. But in addition to that, you can also leave your family, your relative, or whoever looking after your own business on a daily basis as you are working in another place. But for this to work out, one thing is cautionary and important.
Okay.
Make sure out of every 24 hours you have in a day, some 1 hour you are monitoring that enterprise, whether it is in the village, whether it's in the same city where you are. Today, with all types of social media, you can monitor where your money has been.
Okay.
Once you're able to do that, you can get started with an enterprise when you are a full-time employee.
I hear you.
Time management is the key there.
Okay. Now, again related to credit, Francis is saying, how can credit be used as an opportunity to grow the business? Because many people tend to fear credit.
Here's an example. You have a function where you are going to cook food. And in this function, you find that you have 3 million. But this food here is food that would require working capital of 5 million. Now, you can go and borrow the 2 million to be able to carry out this entire function. And you can do that through your circle, you can do that through any other lending vehicle. So lending or borrowing is a useful thing for what we call bridging finance. You have already a business that has matured, and all you are lacking is just a gap between the customer paying you and then you delivering a solution, bridging finance. But it can also be that people have told you that there's opportunity for you to expand and open a second branch. And the customers have been already coming from very far. Now, when you open that branch, you tap into that opportunity. You take a loan quickly to get into that before somebody else has done that. So now that is taking advantage of a mature opportunity. Again, a loan can get that to happen. But it's happening with tested cash flows, you know?
I get you.
But then also you can be modernizing or upgrading from the kind of customers you have been serving to now a certain clientele. But if you are going to depend on internal resources, it could take much longer. So you take a loan to move, to make that move faster.
I get you. But easier. It has to find something at least.
Correct.
Beautiful, beautiful. Charles, we have many questions coming in.
Yeah.
But viewers, what I can commit to with Charles's permission, is that we're going to actually go into all these questions and we'll be able to offer the answers in our subsequent shows.
Correct.
Today, we've run out of time, Charles.
Very true.
And I don't know what your last word would be for our viewers. But I believe we've done justice to the topic of goals.
Yes.
And especially making them attainable.
So my comment and closing comment is that you will never make progressive growth in your career, in your business, without concrete goals.
Yeah.
And concrete goals must be goals that have a life of their own. In other words, they make you sleepless at night. They drive you crazy during daytime. You wake up and you are talking about goals. They change the conversation. In your car key, there's a picture showing the goal. As you are going to the sitting room, there's a picture about the goal for the year. If you begin to live this kind of a goal-oriented life, changes will begin to manifest.
Thank you, Charles. Viewers, that's all the time we've had for. This has been the Business X-Ray, and we'll be coming here and informing you every Sunday. We're going to be here so that you're able to follow up. Unlike other probably deliveries on TV and the like, we want to make this as practical as possible.
Very true.
So that you're able to pick real practical skills that can help you live a better person. It doesn't matter whether you're an employee somewhere. Everyone has a business thing in us.
Very
Sometimes
true.
we lack the skills or what others may call the exposure.
Correct.
And that's why this show is here.
Very
Charles,
good.
I have a number of viewers who are asking for your contact and how to get in touch with you. I think
Very
we can
good.
end on that.
Okay. My number is 0772 699 808. The email, let me repeat the number, 0772 699 808. And my email, charles.ochichi, OCICI, at enterprise.co.ug.
On that note, thank you very much, Charles. Thank you very much, viewers, for being good company. Until next time, have a good evening and God bless.